That work for me spent a lot of time, once crimes have taken place, trying to catch those who have done it. And it is generally speaking, it is a small group of suspects who commit the bulk of the crime. There's not 1,000 criminals out there. There's usually 200 committing 5 crimes each. That's usually how it works, right? I mean, that's just the statistics will back me up on that. Not only in California, but across the United States. It's there's a group that offends, and we try to deal with those using the tools we have. But as far as how it affects you folks and you're running businesses essentially, right? You have homes or buildings and you're renting out to tenants, and you're trying to prevent people from hanging out there and causing problems, and they're bringing people over that may cause you problems. How do you deal with that? When I get phone calls, and I don't get a lot because I'm not the patrol captain. Captain Rydens is the uniform captain. All the police officers that work in uniform and radio cars answer directly to him. My guys wear suits and gals wear suits and ties, but he and I work together to do the same thing, which is to prevent crime and catch people that commit these crimes. But in prevention, what first has to happen is people have to report it. You wouldn't believe how many folks don't call us. They're like, you know what? I talked to a lady the other day. She goes, Captain, I didn't want to bother you. I go, ma'am, bother me. That's the one department you can bother is us. That's what we get paid to do. And I go, if you call us, what I explained to her was fairly simple. It seems simple, but she's just trying to do the right thing in her mind, but doesn't realize that by calling us, that sets a record. We responded to this location of X and Y, right? 10 times on this report. So then we know that the police officers in the department, not only the ones that work the field, but the ones that are in leadership positions that make decisions about where resources go, they see all this information almost instantly in real time. And they're going to be asking themselves, as an example, a watchman or a field sergeant, why are we going over to the 800 block of South La Brea every night 10 times a night? Why? If there's 10 radio calls in the same place, because your tenants are calling because they're doing what they're supposed to do, and calling us because there's a problem, then we're going to start paying attention to it. When nobody calls, I get calls like this frequently, or there's a burglary. And then I talk to one of the victims, or I talk to one of the landlords, and they say, you know what? This happened 20 times before. I go, but you didn't call 20 times before. You called once. Okay, and that doesn't help me. Call 20 times. Now, when you call, you can't just yell over the phone, there's a problem. Have information. Who you are, where they're going, what do you see, what is the issue. Very often, I know it seems simple, and you're all bright folks, but very often people call us with no information. Call, or have the person who's witnessing what happened call us, right? But do call. It's super, super important that we document, and we do that with the minute you call, it's live, right? You call communications, whether you call 911 or not, when a call's entered, you hear, if you ever call the communications center in the police department, and they're in the sub-basement of the police building, there are 4 floors below, there's no windows in there, they sit in a dark room with a computer, and they answer the phone. And the phone rings, and you'll hear, click, 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 they're typing. Well, everything you're saying, they're transposing onto a monitor, and they're putting it into a database. So they're putting in a call. And so he or she is entering that information in, and as soon as they have enough information to generate the call, they're hitting enter, it's going into a queue where the radio dispatcher is about to put it out over the radio or send it out to an NBC, does that. But it's all being recorded, where you're calling from, what you're calling about, the address we're going to, who you're reporting. It's all super important, and it's kept forever. We keep it. So I can go back and look, when I say forever, until we run out of space. It's usually 5 years, and then we have to, unless there's a crime report, unless there's some other issue, which we pull it out of the system. But generally, a call that's resolved amicably, we keep 5 years minimally, and we can research that data going all the way back. So I know how many times we've been to the 7-Eleven, right? I know how many times we've been to 913 South La Brea, any of the hotels. I know exactly how many times we've been there, what kind of calls we were on, how they were disposed, who was involved, because the officers are entering that into the computer. Again, we're capturing a lot of data, but we need to get you to call us so we can respond out there, and then we can direct resources if you're having a problem. So have your tenants call us, but they need to call with information, right? And if you're having a problem, you can't get a handle on it, there's always somebody in the police department that can help you. Community affairs can be your first call. If you have a question about a crime, right, the investigation of a crime, you can always call the Detective Bureau and ask for the detective or detectives that handle that crime. So I put detectives in assignments based on crime. So I have a burglary desk, I have a robbery desk, I have an assault desk, I have a fraud desk, I have a homicide desk, and so on and so forth. They handle other crimes, but they are very good at those crimes, and they know, they read all the crime reports, they arrest all the suspects, they interview all the victims, and they know where things are going on and what's happening. So even if you just have a question, you can always call in and ask. We can start there, and we'll get you to the right spot if you can't figure it out. And I know you have some parking issues.